Let's talk about domain and range of a function. So let's start by making our function here on our Cartesian plane. We'll make a function that's simply a linear function. Nothing fancy, just a line. The domain is all of the possible x values. So if I pick any value along the x-axis, we ask the question, does it have a value in that function? Well, if we pick this value, sure it does. It's right here. But this is a line. It goes on forever. So even if I pick this one, there's a value. Or if I pick this one, there's a value. Or if I pick this x value, there's going to be a value down here, right? And you can see that these x values, you can pick anything all the way up and down the x-axis, all the way out to infinity. And this line is going to catch it at some point in time. So our domain is the range of all x values, which run from negative infinity, anything all the way to the left of 0, to positive infinity, everything all the way to the right. So let's talk about our range now. What's our range? Well, our range, same thing, but in this case, when the range, we're looking at the range of all possible y values. Well, if we plug in this, we see that the function has a value at that y value. If we go above the x-axis, we see that for positive values of y, this function is going to continue to have values. And we can go all the way up this y-axis and see that this line continues. We're eventually going to have a value for every value of y. So any value of y on the y-axis will create a value on this line, this function that we have. So we know, and the same thing and so that means we also have negative infinity to positive infinity for our domain and range of this function. But let's take a different function. Let's do the absolute value function, which looks like this. Notice how the absolute value function never goes below 0 on the y-axis. So you can plug in any value for x, and you'll get a corresponding value on the function. You can plug in any value of x, and the function will be valid. But only the positive values of y will work. If I plug in that, I get two points here. If I plug in a value of y way up here, I get 2 points. But if I plug in a y value down here, you see that the function will never engage. And so our domain and range on this one, our domain, as we said, negative infinity to positive infinity. But our range, in this case, is limited to 0, but 0 is part of it. So we put a closed bracket out to positive infinity, right? So we see that we have our range, our outputs, our y values are only valid from 0 and up. From 0 and up. I hope this has been helpful.